The wind howled across the empty canyon as dust blew through the broken fence. A bloodied hoof scraped the dirt, trembling but not surrendering. He stood alone, chest heaving, legs shaking, breath catching in his throat. His coat, once shining bronze, was now stained with dry mud and streaks of crimson. But he didn't fall. People say animals don't understand pain the way we do. They say they forget. But anyone looking into his eyes in that moment would have known they were wrong. There was pain there, real, searing pain. And something else too. A quiet defiance. A whisper that said, "I'm not done." It began 3 days earlier, far from the eyes of anyone who cared. The horse had once belonged to a traveling show, a small-time roadside act that exploited animals for coins and claps. He was the star. They called him Valor. He could rear, bow, even carry children on his back while fireworks exploded around him. But as the crowds faded and money dried up, so did their kindness. One night, under the cover of darkness, they left him, tied to a fence post beside the canyon road. No food, no water, just a frayed rope around his neck, and the distant echo of a world that had moved on without him. He had tried to follow when they drove away, tried to pull against the rope, to whinny, to gallop after the trailer that carried away everything he knew. But the knot was tight, and in his frantic struggle, the rope tore into his skin. The more he fought, the deeper it cut. For 2 days he stood there, scorching sun by day, cold winds by night. Coyotes circled once, then twice. But something in him kept them back. Maybe it was the way he stomped even when his leg gave out. Or maybe it was the sheer fire in his eyes. Whatever it was, they didn't attack. On the morning of the 3rd day, the rope snapped. Whether it was the wind or his last desperate pull, no one would know. But suddenly he was free. Free but wounded. He limped through the canyon, head low, nostrils flaring, searching for something, anything. The world was big and quiet, and every step felt like lifting stone. But he moved. That's when Clara saw him. She was a wildlife photographer, hiking through the region to capture shots of wild mustangs rumored to roam nearby. Her camera dangled at her side when she spotted him in the distance, more shadow than shape, limping toward a creek. At first, she thought he was wild, but when she got closer, her heart dropped. The rope burns, the open wounds, the bruised haunches. This was no Mustang. This was a horse used to people, abandoned by them. "Hey, buddy," she whispered, kneeling down slowly. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." Valor froze. His eyes locked onto hers, tired but alert. She took a cautious step forward. He didn't move. Another step. Still nothing. She reached into her backpack, pulled out a water bottle, and poured some into her cupped hands. "Here, drink. You need this." He didn't trust her. Not yet. But the thirst was stronger than fear. Slowly, shakily, he stepped forward. The first touch of his lips to her hand was enough to make her choke back tears. He drank. And that's when she knew he hadn't given up. Not yet. She stayed with him for hours, speaking softly, letting him get used to her scent, her presence. Then she called the local vet. "No trailers available," the vet said. "He'll have to be walked in. It's nearly 5 miles. He can barely stand," Clara protested. "I'm sorry. If you want him saved, you'll have to bring him." Clara looked into his eyes again. "Can you do it, boy? Can you walk with me?" He blinked slowly. Then, to her amazement, he took a step. One. Then another. With every step, blood trickled down his leg. Every few feet, he would stumble, but never fall. Clara walked beside him, whispering encouragement, keeping the coyotes and fear at bay with her voice. The sun dipped lower, and the canyon shadows grew longer. Her phone died. Her water ran out. But Valor kept moving. Just before nightfall, they reached the edge of the village. A few people saw the blood-streaked horse and the woman walking beside him. Gasps turned to tears. Someone ran to fetch the vet. Someone else brought carrots, blankets. But Valor didn't stop until he reached the clinic door. And then he collapsed. Not from defeat, but because he had made it. / End of Section 1. Waiting for your command to continue with Section 2. The clinic was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional snort from behind the recovery stall. Valor lay on thick blankets, his body finally still but no longer trembling. His wounds had been cleaned, stitched, and bandaged. His breathing was shallow but steady. Clara sat nearby, her hand resting gently on his neck. She had refused to leave his side, even when the vet told her visiting hours were over. "He walked with me 5 miles through blood and pain," she had said. "I'm not walking away from him now." The vet, Dr. Ramirez, a kind-eyed woman in her 60s, came in holding a clipboard. "He's lucky," she said. "A little deeper and that rope might have cut an artery. The infection hasn't set in, thank God. He's got a long road ahead, but I've seen worse recoveries." Clara looked up. "What are his chances?" Dr. Ramirez hesitated. "If he makes it through the next 48 hours, I'd say decent. But he's weak. And there's something else." She knelt beside Clara, lowering her voice. "He's been through something. More than just neglect. I see it in his eyes. Fear. But also this strange fight. He doesn't trust easily, but he's not ready to give up either." Clara nodded. He wouldn't let himself fall. Not until he reached safety. That night, Clara slept in the clinic hallway with a borrowed blanket and her backpack as a pillow. Volunteers and staff whispered about her. The girl who walked a half-dead horse across 5 miles of canyon. Some called her crazy. Others called her brave. But no one could deny the connection between them. When morning came, so did movement. Valor stirred. Clara jolted awake, rushing to his side. His eyes fluttered open, and for a moment they just stared at each other. Then, as if to answer every silent question in her heart, he nudged her hand gently with his muzzle. "You're awake," she whispered, voice cracking. "You made it." Over the next few days, Valor's recovery became the talk of the town. People came by the clinic to leave apples, flowers, even letters. Kids drew pictures of a brave brown horse and the girl who saved him. Someone started a fundraiser for his medical care. It reached its goal in just 2 days. Dr. Ramirez was astounded. "I've been a vet for 30 years, she said. "I've never seen a community react like this." But Valor didn't care for attention. He barely acknowledged anyone but Clara. She was the one who cleaned his wounds, fed him, walked him slowly in the yard when he was strong enough to stand. She played soft music on her phone when he seemed restless. And every night, she told him stories. About horses in the wild. About children who believed in magic. About second chances. Then one morning something changed. As Clara led him outside for his daily walk, Valor stopped. He sniffed the air, pawed the ground, and suddenly reared up. Not in fear, but in strength. His hooves hit the ground with purpose. Clara gasped. "You're feeling better, aren't you?" It was the first time he looked like the horse he used to be. Dr. Ramirez watched from the porch, arms crossed, smiling. He's remembering who he is. But just as things were improving, a shadow appeared. One Clara hadn't expected. The show's owner. He walked into the clinic bold as brass, holding papers in his hand. "That horse is mine," he said. "I've got registration. I want him back." Clara stood frozen. Dr. Ramirez stepped forward. "You abandoned him. Left him to die." He shrugged. "Doesn't matter. He's valuable. I got rights." Clara's heart pounded. "He doesn't want to go back with you. It's not about what he wants. He's property." A silence fell over the room, heavy and cold. Clara stepped forward. Her voice didn't shake. "If you touch him, he'll fall apart. He survived because he fought to live. Not because of you, but despite you." He smirked. "Tell it to a judge." Dr. Ramirez narrowed her eyes. "We will." They filed an emergency injunction that night. But Valor sensed something was wrong. That night he didn't eat. He paced. He whinnied, low, fearful. Clara stayed with him all night, brushing his mane and whispering, "I won't let them take you. I swear it. You're safe now." Still, the court hearing was set for the next morning. Everyone who had donated, who had visited, who had drawn pictures and left apples, they all came. The courtroom was packed. Clara sat in the front row, holding a folder full of photos, vet reports, and testimonials. When the judge walked in, she didn't look up at first. But when she heard what Valor had been through, the abandonment, the injuries, the walk for miles, her expression changed. Still, the papers were legal. The man had ownership rights. Until a soft voice spoke up from the back of the courtroom. "Your Honor," said Dr. Ramirez, "I'd like to testify." End of Section 2. Waiting for your command to continue with Section 3. Dr. Ramirez stood in the courtroom like a pillar of calm, her voice steady but fierce. "Your Honor," she began, "I've treated thousands of animals in my career, but I've never seen one endure what this horse did and still find the strength to walk 5 miles, bleeding, exhausted, terrified, to save himself. That's not just survival. That's will. That's resilience. And it didn't come from the man claiming him today. The judge peered over her glasses. Do you believe he would be in danger if returned? Dr. Ramirez didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Returning him would not only destroy the progress he's made, it would likely kill him. Murmurs rippled through the room. The man's lawyer rose. Your Honor, with all due respect, this is emotional testimony. We have documents, registration papers, legal proof of ownership. Clara stood up. I have documents too. Photos of his injuries, vet reports, and statements from over 200 people who have supported Valor's recovery. He's not just a horse to this community. He's a symbol of what happens when you don't give up. The judge raised an eyebrow. Valor, that's his name, Clara said quietly. He's earned it. There was a pause, long, heavy, filled with the weight of every silent heart in the room. The judge turned to the man. You abandoned him. There are witnesses, reports, and photographic evidence of his condition. Your paperwork may say you own him, but your actions prove you forfeited that right the day you left him tied to a fence to die. She tapped her gavel once. Custody is awarded to Miss Clara Hart. Case dismissed. Gasps. Applause. Tears. The man stormed out, face red with fury, while Clara collapsed into her seat, tears streaming down her cheeks. Outside the courthouse, a crowd had gathered. Children held hand-drawn signs. Reporters asked questions. Cameras clicked. But all Clara wanted was to get back to the clinic. Back to him. When she walked into the recovery stall, Valor lifted his head. She knelt down beside him. You're free now, she whispered. You never have to be afraid again. He nudged her chest softly. And for the first time in days, he let out a long, contented sigh and closed his eyes. Not from pain, but from peace. In the weeks that followed, Valor's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. He gained weight. His wounds healed. His coat regained its shine. And most of all, he ran again. Not just walked. Not limped. Ran. Clara opened a sanctuary just outside town, using the remaining fundraiser money and support from donors. She called it Valor's Rest, a place where abandoned animals could heal, just like he had. Children came to visit. Volunteers came to help. But Valor remained her partner, her shadow. Wherever she went, he followed. On the 1-year anniversary of his rescue, Clara stood before a small crowd gathered at the sanctuary. She pointed to him, standing strong on the hill behind her. Some animals survive, she said. But some fight. Bleeding, alone, wounded, but they fight. Not because someone told them to, but because something inside them refuses to fall. The crowd turned to look. Valor stood tall, wind in his mane, eyes bright. A survivor, a fighter, a symbol of everything broken that still chooses to heal. And when he galloped down the hill toward Clara, the sun catching his powerful stride, every heart watching knew. This horse had not only survived, he had risen. /end of section 3, and the complete story.